morning, and welcome to All People's Church, Unitarian Universalist. My name is Marianne Clark, and I will be your co-celebrant for this morning's service. In the pulpit this morning is Roz Hunter, a longtime member, vice president of the Church Board of Trustees, and also very active in our RE program, and good to see you there, Roz. If you have been here before, one time or many, you are welcome here. All People's Church is more than just a place to gather on Sundays. It's a community. It's a spiritual home where you can deepen and develop your gifts. We gather to feed our minds and souls that we may each become blessings to our families, to our friends, and to the larger world around us. If you're a visitor today and you haven't yet signed in, and thank you, Paul, please do so. There's a visitor's table by the front door. Signing in will give you an opportunity to acknowledge your visit, give us the opportunity to acknowledge your visit, and place you on our mailing list to receive weekly emails and our monthly newsletter. Before we continue with the service, we have a few reminders and announcements. First, mark your calendars for our November 24th Carter Blood Care Blood Drive. You can sign up by scanning the QR code on the filter at the table out front, or see Lori if you need help or have questions. This act of gratitude will net you a really nice blanket as a thank you gift. The APC choir has begun rehearsing for the winter concert. If you would like to sing in this choir with no need to sing in all the other Sunday services, please attend rehearsals on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Next Sunday will be our Remembrance Sunday. We encourage you to bring photos of loved ones who have passed with you on that day. Our service auction is coming up. Our theme this year is the silver screen and old Hollywood. Tickets are available in the foyer, and we would appreciate any objects and services that you can donate for the service auction. Now please settle down for our opening music. Thank you, Misha. We now invite you to rise in body or spirit for the chalice lighting, the opening hymn, and our spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words are from the Reverend Scott Taylor. Come, let us listen with new ears. Do you hear it? That voice, so familiar, and yet still far. Less a longing and more a knowing, a whisper of something inside us that seems to have known us longer than we've known it. Come, let us listen together. The chalice went out, Rose. Our opening hymn is number 1008 in the Teal hymnal. This is our hymn of the month for October, and this is the last time we're going to be singing it in October. So, when our heart is in a holy place. The young, please be seated. The young and the young at heart are now invited to come forward.
Oh, no,
Sorry?
Love is a doctrine.
Oh, I've got
The quest of truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer.
To dwell together in peace,
to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community,
to the end that all souls
shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another.
And I would like to make a desperate plea for more people to do this. Because as you can see, I am not the best choice. Okay, now the young and the young at heart are invited to come forward for our time together for all ages here at the chancel.
Hello, fellow young person. Okay. Hello. So today we have for our story of all ages, a very old story that a lot of the people in the audience know. I don't know if you all know it. It's called the Good Samaritan. Y'all heard that one? Okay. All right, so this is from the Christian Bible, and the Good Samaritan is a really old story. But nowadays, I don't think people understand the word Samaritan anymore, because they have things like Samaritans clubs and everything, and they think Samaritan is a good word. But back in the day, people from Samaria, Good Samaritan was considered like an oxymoron. You ever heard of the word oxymoron before? Mm-hmm. So oxymoron is like when you have two words that are like an opposite, like good, bad, north, south. So they said Good Samaritan, and people are going to like, Good Samaritan? How can a Samaritan be good, right? Well, it's interesting because Samaria, if you look at it on a map now, the place where it was, it's called Palestine. And right now, there's a war between people in Israel and people in Palestine. So this whole thing about people from these places not liking each other goes back a long way, long way. Okay, so let me tell you a story. All right, so once upon a time, there was a guy, he was walking from Jerusalem to Jericho. There's two different cities. And while he's on the road, someone came by and beat him up and threw him on the side of the road and took all his money and took all his clothes and ran off. Yeah, see, starting to get good, right? Okay, but the thing is that, I guess nowadays we don't really have trouble going from like Dallas to Fort Worth. People don't beat you up on the way there. So I guess you think of it like you were on like a highway that's not very big and like you had a car crash. So you like get thrown out of your car and you're on the side of the road and you're all on the side of the road. You'd wish somebody would come and get you, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, so he's like waiting on the side of the road for somebody to find him, and then someone walks by, and it's a priest. And the priest sees him and walks right past. Okay, so yeah, it is rude. So I guess if we were trying to talk about what would be an equivalent, it'd be like this is some famous televangelist, some guy you see on TV who's always talking about being good and all these other things, and he just, ignores you when you're on the side of the road, just drives on by. Okay. And so then the next person was a Levite, and he saw him, and he walked on by too. Okay, so you probably don't know what a Levite is. That was like a family that was priestly class. So it's like somebody who's like well known as being like, I don't know, maybe a guy in a car with a whole bunch of Christian bumper stickers on the back. And they're like coming over there. Oh yeah. But when they see you, they're like gone by, right? Okay. Well, anyway, the third guy was a Samaritan. Okay. So, but before he came, that guy probably thought he was going to die because nobody was helping him, right? I mean, if you were on the side of the road, how do you think he felt? Yeah, wounded, sad. And why do you think the people walked by and didn't help him? They could have been rude, yeah. They could be afraid. They could think he wasn't worth their time. There are all lots of different ways why you could have thought of that. But anyway, this Samaritan, which is a guy he wouldn't even have talked to if you met him on the side of the road, came by and saw him on the side of the road beat up. And then he picked him up and he took him to an inn and he paid for the inn, the room, and he bound up his wounds that were broken. It's like he came and took him to the hospital and paid for his room there so he could stay there. And he came back the next day and checked up on him to make sure he was okay. So when Jesus told this story, he asked a question. He said, all right, who of those people was the good neighbor? Which one? Yeah. And so I have another question, though, and it's like, why? What do you think he was feeling, the person who helped him? See, the other people, they didn't think it was worth his time, or they were rude, or whatever. What do you think? Do you think the person was afraid when he went to help him? No, probably not. He probably, thought he was probably calm. He probably thought it was worth he probably felt compassion, and he decided to do something. And so that's what we're supposed to learn. Okay, so let's sing the kids off. Thank you.
For 414. This friendly place, Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision of a world filled with peace and justice, joy and love. That vision is embodied in congregations of all sizes, no matter its size. Every congregation depends on each of its members, each one of you, by your commitment of time, energy, and resources, helps to make that grand vision real. Individually and together, we are Unitarian Universalists, building a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. It is our custom to share the undesignated cash offerings that are collected each week. We do this on a quarterly basis for a nonprofit or a charitable organization. Our Share the Plate recipient for the fourth quarter is Partnership Home, formerly the Tarrant County Homelessness Coalition. If you prefer, donations can be made using the QR code that is on the back of the order of service. The gifts of the congregation will now most be gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward? Thank you for your gifts. And now, please rise for hymn number 352, Find a Stillness.
At this time in our service, we pause to honor and give time and attention to those things that are most important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts and to honor our time together with the shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week, there's a journal outside at the entrance of the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory and hope before the service. We honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here in the chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you're welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center here at the side of the chancel. In our book of memory and hope this morning, we have one announcement. Don't forget, turn back your clocks next Saturday night. If you show up to church an hour early, we will put you to work. The management. We pause at this time to hold and to honor the sorrows and celebrations among us, including those deeply felt but left unspoken. Let us pause for a moment of silent meditation and music. Hello. Okay, so everybody, today's sermon's meant to be interactive, so I need a little help from you all. First of all, if I say, peace be with you, then I'd like you all to say, and also with you. So let's practice that. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Very good. Okay. All right. So today, well, we're only a few days away from Halloween. Okay. So Halloween, you all know, people dress up, they have fun, they eat candy, things like that. But that's not what it used to be. I mean, actually, if you're wondering where Halloween comes from, it comes from the fact that people believe that you walk out your door at night, there are ghosts and there are spirits and there are all kind of scary things out there. And they had ways of pacifying them. That's like, so in the high holy days in November, they're going to have All Saints Day on the 1st, All Souls Day on the 2nd, and you would pray that these ghosts and things could go to heaven and get off your lawn. Okay? But what happens the day before that? They all come out and party. So let's say you are a little late coming home and all the ghosts are out partying. What's going to happen to you if they find you? They're going to like throw you in a well or something. You don't know. So you dress up like you're a ghost and you're like, hey, I'm just one of the guys, you know? And then you could walk home. So Halloween and dressing up and all of this stuff was a way that people used to get past their fear about, you know, the world out there. You know, they would say, you know, if I'm wearing this ghost costume, then nobody's going to kill me on the way home, so I'm fine. So today when we're talking about peace, what we mean right here, one of the things we're talking about with peace is finding peace in yourself. Because trying to deal with fears, I mean, I have fears. My fears are like that if I put a political sign on my lawn, that my neighbors won't just steal it like last time, but that they'll set fire to it and burn my house down. Okay, I have fears like my kids will get in a car accident, or maybe they'll get stopped by the police, and because their skin's a little dark, they shoot them and they die. I have fears like I'll wake up one day and find out that I live in a dictatorship. Okay. So we don't have the same fears as those medieval peasants have, but we still have that same problem. That problem is that sometimes you wake up and you're just like, how am I going to get through this day? It's really terrifying. So what you have to do is you have to learn how to control your fears. You have to find ways to calm yourself down when you're stressed out. I know a lot of people get stressed out when we're close to an election. They're like biting their little nails every day. So I'm going to teach you some techniques I picked up here and there that help keep me calm. Okay? So our first technique, and you can find this everywhere. I mean, everywhere. It's in yoga, it's in martial arts, it's in everything. It is breathing, deep breathing. Okay? So when your heart beats too fast, it's inefficient. It's it doesn't give a chance for your heart to fill up with blood before it actually pumps. So actually, if your heart's beating slower, then it's actually better for you. So you can control your heart rate by control your breathing. So what you do is you breathe in deep, like for 4 counts, and then you breathe out for 6 counts. So let's try that, okay? So get some chest in there. Okay, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Good. Okay. So I told you what I was afraid of. You know what I'm not afraid of? I'm not afraid that Haitian immigrants are going to come eat my pets. Okay, so more than one political candidate was spreading this lie, and they were talking about Haitian immigrants, and I was like, yeah, I would be Haiti. Okay? The reason why Haiti, it wasn't, oh, those Swedish immigrants, they're coming after us. Okay, but it's not just the color of the skin, because they didn't say Jamaican immigrants. So let me tell you a little about Haiti. I don't know if you know this, but Haiti was the largest, where they had the largest and the most successful slave revolt in the Americas. Back in the 1804, they established the Haitian government from people who had overthrown their European captors. And when that happened, how do you think the people in the U.S. felt? They were terrified that it would happen here. And they did whatever they could to suppress any information about that, because they didn't want slaves uprisings in the United States. They wanted to be getting ideas. And so what they do, and this is a very common thing to do, is to control the information so that people don't hear about it. Did you learn about Haitian Revolution when you were in school? Good. One person got good education, but the rest of us, no. I didn't get it in my school either. They talked about Cuba. They didn't talk about Haiti. And so that's when I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, they're still picking on Haiti. Okay. So the way they try to keep people away from knowledge they don't want. That's what's happening with all these book bans. It's like, oh, my kid won't be trans if they never hear there's such a thing. They won't be gay if they can't read about it in school. And this is one of the things that this is part of the environment we are in, but maybe we've always been in. And these are the kind of battles that we're fighting here. So when I hear about them doing things like book bannings, it makes me really mad, and sometimes I get all tense, like my back and my neck, and they're all tensed up and like that. So our next technique, all right, it's how to deal with tense muscles. Okay, so this one comes from ballet, but they also have it in dance. They have it in other dances and stuff like that. So sometimes you'll go to do something and have your calf muscle is super, super tight. And you would think what you do is you need to try to relax it. But the way you relax it is you start it by tightening it first. Okay? And then you tighten it and you hold it tight and tense for a while. And then when you relax it, then it'll relax itself, you see, because you can only hold something tight for a certain amount. Okay, so take your fists and your hands and sort of hold them tight close to you. Clench it, clench it, clench it. Okay, keep holding it. Keep holding it. Okay, let it go. All right, tense it back again. Then let it go and then shake it out. You see? And then you get a chance to make your muscles a little even more relaxed than they were before. You see? So, peace be with you. Peace be with you. Good, good. Okay, so I said in here in the little blurb about today's sermon that I was going to talk about life as an African-American woman. So, as an African-American woman, I occasionally bump up against people who have stereotypes about African-Americans. So things like, oh, they're not very educated, they don't talk right, or they don't, a lot of things that, I don't really have to re-say. But the thing is that I realized that a lot of times it comes because a lot of people just don't have a lot of contact with people of different cultures of them. They don't hear their stories. Just like when you ban books about things, how is anybody going to know about people different from them, right? So I thought that I would tell you some of my family stories so that I could spread a little more, hear more about other people. So let's talk about slavery. Okay, so slavery happened. Everybody says, oh, it's a long, 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 long time ago. But in my family history, it's not really that long ago. I mean, it wasn't in living memory. There's nobody I knew who was a slave. My grandfather wasn't a slave, but his grandfather was. So when we go back and look at my census, go down to the 1870 census, they had my Ebenezer. Ebenezer was my grandfather's grandfather, and he lived in the household of Father Monroe. And Monroe was an old guy. He was definitely a slave, because the 1870 census, you see, was the first census that counted African Americans and listed them by name. Because before that, they were property. They weren't people. So there's no reason to put them on the census. So Ebenezer was a baby at that time. So I'm not actually sure if he was born during slavery or just after. Well, anyway, we don't have that many stories of people that long ago, but we do know that they all came. They were from Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and they came with a group of slaves that moved from there, came over to Texas. They bought this big piece of land that they called the Hill, and everybody had farms on the hill. And Ebenezer was particularly noted because they called him the engineer, okay? And the reason they called him the engineer was because he was the only one who knew how to fix a cotton gin. So he was really smart, and he could do that. That story time came down to me through my family because everybody was proud of how clever engineer was. But he wasn't, Ebenezer wasn't educated. And I know he wasn't educated because of the time he was born in. When he was a child, there were laws saying that you couldn't teach. Well, in Alabama, the law said you couldn't teach. It was against the law to teach any colored person to read, slave or free. And the reason why is they were afraid that someone would write a note for someone, and then that slave could take the note and leave and run away, and they would think that somebody wrote it. So they just wouldn't let you teach anybody how to read. In Mississippi, it was a 1-year jail term to do so. So the laws that were on the books in those places kept people like Ebenezer from learning how to read. I mean, maybe he learned when he became an adult, but he's an engineer, but he could never be a real engineer. So when people are talking about the great ancestors and all the thing they did and how black people are uneducated, I'm like, yeah, well, it's not like it's their fault. There were laws about it. Except those laws did go away, thank goodness. And then afterwards, my family went crazy about getting education. And so it was a big deal in my family. You got to get an education. And the whole family's full of preachers and teachers. And my parents, they went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. That's where they met, and they got married. And my father had an advanced degree. He was Dr. Hunter, and worked at Bishop College in Dallas. So he was a and then I went on to graduate from college as well. So in a way, this is a success story, yay, because things do change. So don't let anybody tell you things are worse than they were, because they certainly weren't for me, okay? Okay, so when I was in college, I learned another technique. So let me tell you the story about this. So I went to college and I took a history class. It was an interesting history class. It was the history of the 1980 Iranian hostage crisis. Okay, so in the story, our teacher, who was also Shiite Muslim, he had us read a book called The Mantle of the Prophet by Roy B. Motaheda. And the story was about the raising of an Islamic mullah. And in it, he went through training in Islamic mysticism. And one of the things they would do, they had this exercise, and the exercise's job is to keep out invasive thoughts. So invasive thoughts are all these thoughts like, oh, you're a bad person. That was really stupid of you. They come in. So what you had to do is you had to think day and night. They gave him a phrase to think of, and he had to think this phrase day and night. Just fill his brain with it. The phrase they gave him was God is. So every day, God is, God is, God is, God is. Every minute of every day, he had to keep doing this. And the thing is that if you learn that this is a way to get rid of invasive thoughts, because there's no other room for it. You can't be talking about how stupid you are, how all these things are, if your thought are full of this good phrase that you're supposed to do. Now, we are Unitarian Universalists. Not everybody's a theist. So maybe God isn't the right one to use. So we'll pick another one. You can do something like love is, or you can do life is. Let's try love is. How about that one? Okay. So the way you do it is you sort of dim your eyes down and you think over and over, love is, 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 love is. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Okay. All right. So let's go on with the same whole racist theme here. Okay. So when you go ahead and talk about someone and you say, hey, what do they mean when they say somebody's racist? Most people will say, oh, he called somebody the N-word. Okay. But these individual acts of disrespect aren't really, they're nothing compared to the great big acts of passing laws that keep people down, okay? And so this suppression and the distortion of histories, taking things out of your textbooks like the Tulsa bombing, these are the kind of things that really make a difference in people's lives, making laws about what trans people can and can't do. These make big differences in people's lives. So it's not just saying things, it's actually these institutional things that we can vote on, hint, hint. Okay. Anyway, let's keep talking about me. All right. Okay. So I grew up in Dallas. 1954 is when they overturned separate but equal. But that didn't mean they integrated the schools in Dallas. Not for a long time, okay? So my sisters basically went to segregated schools, my older sisters. And that's because they lived in South Dallas. And South Dallas was a black area. So, you go to schools next to where you live, and we lived in this area. So there were only black people in the schools. So they didn't technically keep them out, but because of the way the, redlining and things like that, that's how it worked out. Well, anyway, my parents, activists as they were, moved to Oak Cliff. Now, it's interesting because I looked back later when I was in high school and found out that Oak Cliff was founded as a whites-only community, had posters and everything, okay? And so we were the first black people in our street to move in. And so I went to a desegregated school. There were some black kids there. There were some Vietnamese kids there. There were mostly white kids there at Carpenter Elementary where I went. And and I lived in this neighborhood and we played with the kids on the street. I don't even know what they had to do to buy that house. I mean, redlining, I think it's still gone on in Houston, but, never mind. Anyway, the thing is that we lived there and we played with the kids. And then I remember one day our house got egged, You see, it's funny because I don't actually know what's different about my life than other people's life because mostly I don't ask them. I mean, like I wasn't an adult until I found out that everybody didn't have bullet holes in their windows. BB guns, people play with BB guns and stuff like that, that kind of thing happens. So it wasn't until I was adult, for example, I didn't think about the fact that they only egged our house. They didn't egg the neighbor's house. But I was a kid, I didn't think about it. These are people that I would play with all the time. It was the 70s. People go out with BB guns and shoot squirrels and stuff. So it wasn't really anything sounded strange to me. And those kids, they were my friends. They would play with me in the day. In fact, just that morning, they came over to my house to borrow some eggs. Anyway, the whole thing is that children are very insightful. And even if the parents don't come to your face and call you a name, they know how you feel. And when those kids, when they're playing with me, they're fine, but then they go home, what are their parents thinking? What are their parents saying? What are they getting from them? Even if they're not saying anything bad, they're insightful. They know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who's okay to egg and who's not okay to egg. And so, a lot of these technicalities about, oh, this is wrong, but this is okay, it's a lot deeper than that. Okay. So the tricks they played on us, I just thought of them as, kids will be kids. But, when I get older, I'm thinking, kids learn this from somewhere. And so it's not enough to just technically act okay. It has to do you really believe that? Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Okay, so we got to get back to, let's see, where are we next? Another technique. This is from Japan. It's Zen Buddhist, okay? So the goal of them was not to fill yourself with thoughts, even if they're good thoughts, but to get rid of all of your thoughts. You're not supposed to think anything. That's when you can really meditate and you can be calm. So, and with phones and things, we hardly ever have a blank mind. So let me show you how you do it. So you imagine the moon, the full moon. It's big and round, okay? And it's bright and shiny. But you're not looking up at the moon, okay? You're looking in a pool or a bowl of water. And you see the moon reflected in that bowl. Okay? And your thoughts are the ripples on the water. So you're imagining in your head this round moon, but it's like got black bars and things on it and stuff because you're disturbed by thinking of all these other, did I leave the gas on? That kind of thing. Okay, so you got to get rid of all of that stuff until you just see the image and it's clear as glass. You see? Okay, so close your eyes. Look down, see the moon. Oh, wait, it's rippling. Okay. All right, wait. Okay, see those black lines? Calm them down. You're supposed to look at the edges of the moon. Is it nice and round? Is it round? Not quite. Keep on. Try to see it round. No more ripples. Calm them down. So you're supposed to calm it until you see them round and clear and bright, and crisp. Good. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Okay. So one of the things I really love about being Unitarian Universalism is that it is a religion that allows me to pick a Christian story and a Islamic method and a Zen meditation and just shove them all together, and nobody's going to give me any trouble about it. Nobody's saying I'm doing anything wrong, because we're allowed to encourage even to bring things together from different faiths, from different bodies of belief and spiritualism to make something that's going to count for us. And so when I was thinking today about the story for the kids, the Christian story about the Good Samaritan, what I actually thought about was not so much the moralistic, are you good doing this good or not, but what did these people feel before they made these decisions? Okay. So you see the people walking by. Did they feel superior to that hurt man? Like, he's not worth my time. Were they worried what their neighbors were going to say if they brought this guy home? Were they afraid of him or afraid of anything? Oh, I can't touch that. That'll cause problems for me. Did they just not care? So, and I was thinking, what kind of state of mind do you have to be in before you can help that guy on the side of the road? And I was thinking, you have to be calm so that the compassion you feel, you can act on it. And the Samaritan, it's telling us it isn't your identity that makes you a good person. It isn't your family background. It isn't your professed faith. It isn't your family, any kind of heritage. What determines whether you're a good person is your actions. And as Unitarian Universalists, we say every day, service is our prayer. So as Unitarian Universalists, we're called to act. We don't act when we're afraid. You have to start from a place of calm. So I'm hoping that today that you got something out of this exercise, and I want to remind you that today is an election day. The polls are open, and if you choose to, you could walk on the other side of the road and not do anything about the laws they're about to inflict, or you can act, okay? Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Amen. Okay, so today we have our closing hymn. Our closing hymn, I'm not sure if we heard it before. It's hymn number 167, Nothing But Peace. So I am going to ask a couple of our choir members to come up, and we will sing the verse once, and then you join us and we'll sing it 2 more times, okay? So 3 times. Mm-hmm. All right, you got it there? All right.
Our chalice words are from the Reverend Emily Gage. May we open our hearts and minds to one another and to the world. May we let ourselves be changed by the stories around us. May we deeply listen and be deeply listened to and be held in silence and love. And so may it always be.
Used to always say at the end of a service. Okay. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen. Service is ended. We have